Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Castaway Anime Podcast. I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Crunchy Bagels.
And we're back with the final week of Shinkai Month, the month where we marathon all of Makoto Shinkai's feature films in preparation for Suzume's release in April. And today we're going to be talking about Shinkai's most recent film before Suzume's release, Weathering with You. And if you want to weather with our podcast some more, then please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date on new episodes of the podcast.
Every single time you transition to the "and you should support the podcast" just gets funnier and funnier and more
what can I say?
contrived.
I'm a man of many talents, challenged by few, except for when it comes to sub count, because I just it's Crunchy. I couldn't help but notice that you've grown a little since the last podcast.
I don't know what you're talking about. Honestly, I've gone down in subs since the last podcast.
You put on a few more pounds. You got a little taller. Got maybe a little more.
My channel.
Your channel.
My channel got obese.
I force fed my channel.
What can I say, man? He didn't want to eat his veggies, and so I had to come in with the murder threats.
I had to come in with the pure dessert. With the word that shall not be named.
The sludge.
Yeah, that's exactly what Onimai is. Yeah, well,
it's a masterpiece, and you know it.
Yeah, well, what's your sub count sitting out now? Like 2.78k.
2,800. I literally just checked.
Yeah, now your video is at 87,000 views.
I think it's probably 90k at this point. I don't know. I haven't checked.
Yeah, it's just crazy to think that when we started the podcast, you had what?
I was in retirement.
Subs? Yeah, you were in retirement.
I had 200 subs, and it actually dipped below 200, I think, after a certain point, and then got back up because I kept on telling people, "Don't worry, I'll be back on YouTube." And then I guess someone got the memo and resubbed just in time.
And then when did you hit 1,000 subs again?
I think the day of the Super Bowl, actually. Literally the same day.
Okay, and that was last month, so that was before the Onimai vid, right?
Yes.
Okay,
I think fresh or near, either fresh off the heels of the Zaragoto vid or near its release.
Yeah, and look how big we are now, or how you are now. To be fair, some of your subs seem to have trickled in from into this channel, which is appreciated.
How much is Castaway anime at right now? I have not checked.
168.
Okay, or 169 actually. Hey, we've got the Reddit number.
We have +1. It's just amusing to me now that you have a Patreon and ad revenue and the potential to get sponsors and whatnot. Now at any point you could be like, hey, the podcast is taking too much time away from Crunchy Bagels, so yeah, the podcast is done.
Well, see, I do that, except that it's not taking time away because my laziness is taking far more time away. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you.
Well, yeah, I'm glad. Just know that you quite literally hold the entire fate of the podcast in your hands.
Not really,
kill it at any time.
I feel like you're exaggerating a little bit.
Maybe just a little, but that's enough on the recent events between our channels. Now it's time to finish what we started. We started Shinkai Month at the beginning of the month. Now we're 5 films later. This is the 6th and final one before we get to Suzume next month. And it's been a ride.
Would you rather go back to that club? Cause I don't think you're cut out for that kind of work.
Hodaka? What are you looking at?
I'm not looking at anything!
So we started off this podcast with the idea that maybe, just maybe, we could Shinkai pill Crunchy Bagels. We could make him appreciate the master, the second coming of. Why is his name not coming?
Miyazaki? No way! This motherfucker forgot Miyazaki's name.
How did I do that? I genuinely don't know how that happens. I thought it was the one guy whose name I'd never forget, and yet here I am. But Yeah, to show me the light of Makoto Shinkai. And over the course of the past 6 films, I'd say definitely not the first podcast. It was not Shinkai pilled yet. The second podcast, still not Shinkai pilled. The third podcast, we were finally talking about Your Name, and I finally came back around on Your Name and was like, this is pretty good. But there was never a truly great film for me to be like, I get the hype now. It was always just, yeah, I had fun. This was a good time, but not anything spectacular. Obviously, Neon is like seething upon hearing that. He loves Garden of Words, but
Yeah, but you'll come around one day once I Clockwork Orange you to a chair and make you watch it 3 more times.
But at long last, we've made it to the 6th film. Is it great? Have I been Shinkai pilled? How long do I keep the suspense going?
I mean, we're about to talk about the movie, so I don't know how much longer you can keep up the facade.
Yeah, this movie's amazing.
Yeah,
like actually incredible.
This has been the most recent Shinkai film that I had seen prior to starting the marathon. Because I watched it back in January 2020, just before the pandemic hit. I think it was the last movie I saw in theaters was the fucking Sonic movie, and then the pandemic hit. But this was I saw this one in theaters. It was one of the 2 only Shinkai movies that I had seen at that point, Your Name and Weathering with You. And when I saw it, I was like, hey, this is just a better Your Name. And now 4 years later, my opinion has not changed. Oh, no. Well, 4 years since the movie came out, 3 years since I'd seen it in January 2020. Opinion has not changed. It's still amazing.
So I've spent even longer since I last saw the movie. I think anyway. Actually, it might have been early 2020. I'm not sure.
Did you see it in theaters?
Guessing myself. Yeah, I saw it in theaters.
Okay,
so.
well, it must have been the same time then, because
okay.
it came out January, February. I don't think it went into March.
So it must have been early 2020, before the world knew what they were getting themselves into. And yeah, my memory of this movie was vague going into it, but throughout the viewing, I kept on having all these aha, wait, it's coming back to me now moments where I was like, oh wait, I know where this is going. Back when I first saw the movie, although I enjoyed my time with it and thought it was like a very valuable theater experience, and had fun talking to my friends and whatnot and seeing the movie with them, I honestly came away with it with like a feeling of, yeah, it's fine. I enjoyed my time, but even though I didn't really see anything particularly wrong with it, I was just like, maybe Shinkai just isn't for me. Maybe something about these movies is not clicking with me. But after having seen them all except for Suzume, I'm just throw my number out there. This is like a 9. This is amazing.
I agree. I gave it a 9 when I saw it in theaters. It's still a 9 today.
So I guess it's time to just get into dissecting the film.
Yeah, so like I think the immediate best thing to appreciate about Weathering with You is that it's Your Name 2.0. It's just a better version of Your Name.
Admittedly, it does have a bit of a different feel to it in a lot of regards. Like, Your Name, I think, delves... It's hard to really put into words, but this movie feels like a bunch of kids surviving on their own without parental supervision, just trying to escape the authorities and, live on their own free of their parents. And it just so happens to have a supernatural twist, but a lot of the movie is, even in the finale when the primary threat is the supernatural, it's still the arguably more immediate threat is the police. And
just like in
it's
real
very
life.
And, it's very focused on that aspect, whereas in Your Name, it gets very fantastical, and once, you get into the supernatural, although I guess a comet hitting Japan isn't exactly supernatural so much as it is just completely out of the ordinary. And I guess it's trapped more in, like, mystical logic and whatnot. But this movie, I guess, feels more grounded than Your Name, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, the only like supernatural stuff outside of just Hina just having the ability to part the rain through prayer comes towards the end when she gets spirited away to the world above the sky, and Hodaka's got to go after her. But
and I guess they also like all share a dream of her getting spirited away, which I mean that is obviously caused by the supernatural. But aside from that, like it is.
Yeah, but
just
Your Name's got like
so...
time travel going on.
Yeah, Your Name is
Shinto,
kind of ridiculous.
All
by
sorts
comparison.
of magic hand wavy bullshit.
Yeah, I did, even during my Your Name rewatch, I felt like Musubi was used too much as just a plot device to hand wave everything. Like, okay, why does Twilight allow them to see each other? I don't know, the Garden of War, Yuki just said Twilight is when mysterious things happen, and so now it does, because I don't know, there's not really a mechanic there so much as it is just vague mystical logic. But Weathering with You, although it is like inarguably magic bullshit, it's also like tethered to a person, and the entire film is about seeing like, okay, how does the mechanic of the weather girl work? Like what does it actually entail? And we see that like, oh, these people existed in the past and they got sacrificed and they eventually get spirited away and sent to the cloud dimension where they live the rest of their days in isolation. And it feels more like, instead of being a crutch to make things happen, the movie is about seeing what is happening. We already know why, because she became the weather girl. And there is a little bit of like, you could argue, just sort of thrown in there, not really thinking too hard about it, like, why does passing through that specific Torii gate make her a weather girl or transport you to the cloud dimension? I don't need an explanation. Maybe you do. Why do they share a dream? I don't know. It just kind of happens. I don't really care, but hey, maybe you do, and I won't take away, I won't invalidate your caring about that.
I mean, I feel the purpose of the dream thing, which is a whole topic we can get into later in the podcast. But basically, the whole thing with the dream is to like show a connection amongst the people of Tokyo and the sort of acceptance of allowing one person as a sacrifice in order to bring about the end of like the never-ending
it works emotionally, and
yeah.
I don't think it's like a plot hole or anything like that. But
yeah, it's the kind of thing where it's like the emotion, like, whereas Your Name tried to have it both ways, where like, yeah, like you could make the argument that it's such an emotionally poignant moment that any amount of plot hole or like plot consistency that it destroys when you think about it is like worth it in the end. But here I thought for every mechanic they introduced didn't require any grander justification besides itself. Like, okay, yeah, this one shrine gate that is encased in a beam of light that Hina prays and passes through, and she becomes able to part the weather. All right, yeah, that is the rules that you have laid out, movie, and I will stick with it.
Yeah, like I can accept that as just a thing that happens in this universe, or like the dreams. I can just make up the explanation of, well, she's the weather girl. We don't know exactly how she works. Maybe that's just how the weather girl be. That's just how it be, man. It do be like that sometimes.
It do, in fact, be like that sometimes. Going back into how this movie is just a better Your Name, another problem that we both had with Your Name is that the the main characters, we obviously we had like differing opinions on the strengths of the individuals between Taki and Mitsuha, but I remember us both agreeing that the side characters, while the most fun they've ever been and provided some good chemistry with Taki and Mitsuha, ended up like still kind of a little shallow and a little forgettable.
This is served their role.
Yeah,
but
they serve
beyond that.
That's a good way of putting it. They serve the role. This is easily Shinkai's best cast of characters, and I love them all. Like, and I won't forget them.
Dude, I instantly loved Keisuke. So he's part of the archetype that, you know, your Oshino Meimeis, your... I'm trying to remember the green hat dude from Bleach. Is it Kisu something?
Urahara.
Is it just...
Isn't it Urahara?
Well, yeah, that's his last name, but he also had a first name.
I think it's Kisuke.
Keisuke. They're very similar characters. Yeah, Kisuke Urahara.
Yeah, that's the one.
You know, that archetype is just one that I'm just in love with. I just love like shabby old dudes.
Yeah,
or,
scruffy
I guess
looking
middle-aged
old dudes.
With they all have like just a little bit of beard, or I guess in Oshino's case, he's got like a goatee. Yeah, I just like him.
Yeah, it's interesting because like it's the first time a character like that has, to my recollection, has shown up as like as such a prominent role in a Shinkai movie. The only other person I can think of is Teacher Guy from Children Chase Lost Voices, and even then, he's pretty well kempt and.
Teacher Guy came off like a responsible, diligent, if overly driven man.
Yeah, like he's definitely responsible and driven. Where the two differ is that like, what they have in common rather is that they are both not the most morally upstanding individuals. But yeah, Teacher Man was definitely a lot more careful and calculated and could was good at planning. This guy's just kind of a seedy asshole.
So what instantly endeared me to him is our main character. I have his name written down, Hodaka-kun. He is on a boat and it's raining and it gets rocked by this giant pool of water that just crashes down, and you know he's going towards the edge, but then all of a sudden, Keisuke is like, yo, I'ma save you. And he grabs his arm. So they go inside the cafe inside the boat. And Keisuke is like, yeah, I saved your life. Anyway, wanna go buy me a beer? You know, I saved your life and all that.
I love the line where it's like, you know, I did save your life, didn't I? I think that's the first time I've ever saved someone's life. I think that's
he's just so nonchalant,
right?
about it.
Yeah, he's just... almost like he's manipulating the kid he just saved.
And there's another time where he straight up, they're living together now, and he just straight up gives him a beer.
Yeah.
It's just like, drink up, Hodaka.
Yeah, he's so willing to give Hodaka a beer despite him being underage. I love how he tosses it to him, and Natsume instantly snatches it out of Hodaka's hands, and they but I love how even like when she does that, she's obviously got his well-being in mind. Like, hey, you can't let minors drink, but she's just instantly willing to drink it herself and not even scold Keisuke for it. She's just
she's just used to it.
Yeah,
she's used to this guy's antics.
Yeah, every single one of these characters like brings their own unique flavor. There's no like retreads. They all bring a special flavor into the stew.
It's all very well put together, and they're all super endearing. Can we talk about how based Hodaka is, by the way? Hodaka is, like, the best protagonist we've had in any of these films so far. I love him. He's so cool.
He is... I'm going back and forth in my head on whether I love him more than Takao from Garden of Words, but in terms of... like agency and like dynamic in the plot, it also helps that Weather With You is just like straight up an hour longer than fucking
an entire hour longer.
Yeah, and what's great about Hodaka is that he is the the first Shinkai protagonist to be not the most morally upstanding individual. Like, cause Taki, the worst thing Taki did was fondle a girl's tits when she
While in her own body, or
yeah,
while
it's
in
like
her body.
it's not, and like obviously, you know, consent is a thing, but like it's she was never even offered the choice and doesn't even find out until later. So it's like,
In fairness, Mitsuha did essentially do the same thing, just more shyly.
yeah, well, like she when Taki's there, I think he was like kind of getting off to it, or at least at the very least enjoying the skeeviness of it. Whereas Mitsuha was just like, oh my god, like that's so weird. This is so gross. Ew, ew, ew. But yeah, outside of him, like Takao, like the worst thing he did was get into a fight with some bullies who had
but
it
also
coming.
he was based for that.
Yeah, he like those bitches had it coming, so he was just doing what no one else had the balls to do. So I applaud him for that. Asuna is just, you know, a girl. She's just a little girl.
Fucked if I remember any of the other two protagonist names.
Yeah, I can't fucking remember their names from 5 centimeters or Place Promise in early days, but they were pretty good. Like, the worst thing main guy did there was throw a punch at his best friend who I pointed a gun at him, so whatever. And the 5 centimeters per second, he was just he was just a good boy. He was just a good lad.
Depressed.
Yeah, he's just sad boy. Real sad
there's
boy
literally
hours.
the line in the movie, he's not like the other boys. So
yeah, meanwhile, in contrast, Hodaka, when he is, granted, in his defense, he is getting beat up by this mafia dude, or at least like member of a gang or some kind of thug, and like while he is quick to, you know, get a little rough and tumble, we see him at the beginning of the movie with bandages all over his face, so we already get the impression that he's a bit of a, you know, rough and tumble kind of guy. But
which is exactly what Taki had, although he sold it less effectively.
Yeah, like the best moment Taki had was when he found out that girls were bullying Mitsuha, or like trying to shit talk her. He just kicked over a desk to assert his dominance. But like that's about the extent of that. Whereas Hodaka, when he is getting his ass kicked by a thug, he takes a gun that he found earlier in the movie and has held on to the whole time, and points it at the dude's face and fires it next to him, implying that at the very least, while he may not want to kill have like any kind of bloodlust, he is willing to at least toy with the notion, or at least use the violence of getting shot, or even the violence of murder, as a means to get people to do what he says.
Even more than that, he's just straight up a runaway. We learn near the beginning of the film that he felt suffocating in his old place of residence. It was like a smaller town, and he just could not stand it. So he went off to Tokyo on his own without telling his parents, and is now living on the land, obviously illegally, and without telling any of his relatives, who are probably worried sick about him. Just straight up leaves.
His parents file a missing report on him. He's running away to Tokyo, where he's like so ill prepared for this journey that he's getting all of his life advice from fucking Yahoo Answers.
Oh yeah,
where he might as well be going to
so hard.
He might as well be going to r/am I the asshole.
For the second I saw Yahoo Answers, the note I have written down is how get girl pregnant.
he definitely
he's one of those
towards
guys.
the end of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
and he's just straight up asking strangers, "Hey, I'm a minor. I'm looking for a job. I don't have a student ID. Oh, what
asking for a friend.
Asking for in Minecraft." And one of the answers he jokingly gets is just work at a sex club. And his face lights up and he's like, "Oh, wait, they could accept me." And then there's just a montage of him getting rejected constantly because he's a kid. Like he didn't mind doing that as long as he could get money from it, and as long as it didn't require a student ID.
Oh, I didn't know he is going to like all different kind of sex places. I thought he was just trying to apply to different like jobs, and they just turned him down because he's a fucking 16-year-old with no paper trail.
I mean, it might have also been that, but it like straight up cuts from the one comment to him just getting rejected over and over again. So I'm not sure what else that was meant to communicate. And like,
I think that was
he
just
literally
him
remarks like,
applying for jobs because he was looking for an income at the time.
I mean, he also was like, I forget the exact line, but like he seemed to be like, oh, they'll accept me, and then they didn't. I don't know, maybe I'm reading too deep into it, or maybe I misread it or whatever.
But going back to Hodaka, willing to cap a motherfucker to get what he wants, like that's just an already immediately interesting character trait, because it could put some people off from like, oh wow, this is like, he's a guy who he might like, at least even if he doesn't want to do it, might consider taking a life. That's kind of fucked up, bro.
And that's not even getting to the ending, which we'll get to, which is very morally questionable. At the very least questionable. And there has been much discussion about that online, from what I can tell.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember all my favorite Hodaka moments without getting into like the ending.
There's one point where it's shown that he has the catcher in the rye, which I don't know. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember why like that was one of his possessions that he brought with him.
I mean, I'm not sure exactly what happens in the book. All I know is that it's about a depressed dude.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe he just relates then.
That's what I instantly jumped to, but I also wasn't sure if there's maybe a runaway in that book. But I admittedly drew the connection like, oh, maybe he's just an edgelord.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. I love how we see him like staying at some kind of, was like a cyber cafe or like some kind of like really small shitty motel where it's like one room where it's like pretty much the size of a closet.
Let's see.
Is at the beginning of the movie when he was looking for all those jobs, and then at some point he couldn't even afford to live there anymore, so he's just out in the streets.
And then eventually, he's like sleeping next to like the entrance of this club, and the owner is like, "Yo, what the hell you doing here?" And then kicks him out. Although something I really like about the beginning section of this movie is that it's almost like a montage of him, getting a lay for the land, what the conditions are here. It's almost like tactical in that sense, but also of him learning what he can use to get a leg up in this new world he's encountered himself in. Because at the beginning, he gets the ID card by Keisuke, and he's like, I'm not going to use this. And I paused the movie, and I'm like, you're definitely going to use that. Like, there's no way you'd say that and then not use it. But later on, he gets the same scene where he gets kicked out of the place he was sleeping at next to the entrance of this club. They like knock over a trash can. Like the dude pushes him into it, and he finds this paper bag. He's being a bit of a good boy, cleaning up all the trash, not just leaving it there. But he finds a gun in a paper bag, and he keeps it there, even though he's not sure it's a toy.
By the way, I want to make sure we point this out. Fucking how awesome of it was Shinkai to establish it would be really weird for him to just find a random gun in a bag in a trash can. But how genius was it that in one of the shots of Hodaka like trying to find a place to just sleep and like take refuge from the rain in his while he was homeless, instead of having a part in the movie where you have to like stop the plot and derail the pacing dead in its tracks to cut to a news broadcast of like, hey, in recent news, guns have gone missing with live ammunition. Be on the lookout
did notice that.
And instead of having to like destroy the pacing to just cut to that, it was in the background on one of the giant billboards in Tokyo. and it's like in frame enough so that way it's like the centerpiece of the frame, so you pay attention to it. But does it while it's happening on the outside, where Hodaka's still looking for a place to live, and we can pay attention to it and keep that nugget of information in our heads without having to be explicitly told by like the movie itself. Hey, by the way, did you hear about the guns that went missing? Like the genius level of writing.
If this was the same thing in Place Promised in our early days, it'd be a bunch of people on the streets having like a 20-second conversation. Have you heard about the guns that have recently been missing in Tokyo? Oh my goodness, no way! Those guns that are just around in Tokyo. We better be on the lookout. And the main character's just barely in the frame, or like walking by. God, this movie is so much better with exposition than Place Promised.
Yeah.
What a jump up.
Look how far we've come.
This movie is so energetic. There's so many very brief cuts, like when Hodaka is first moving into Keisuke's place, and he sees his niece, and like she's sleeping on the couch, and there's a little bit where he's looking at her, and then she wakes up, and she immediately is like, you were looking at me in that way, weren't you?
You were totally checking out my boobs, weren't you, kid?
Yeah. There's like a brief cut of them, or this might have been slightly later, I forget exactly when, but like there's this brief cut of them looking awkwardly at each other, and then it's like the briefest of cuts, and I'm like, it like, I don't know, it has so much energy with the way it's edited. There's like all the incredibly fast-paced montages, just keeps on moving.
Yeah, much like Your Name, because I remember us talking about this last week. Your Name brought an energy to Shinkai movies that just didn't exist before, and this movie brings a similar level of energy. But whereas Your Names, it was a real fast pace in the name of keeping the story moving forward and like constantly advancing. This one, it feels like it's a lot more of a lot more dedicated to building the atmosphere of the movie, to like the real the hustle and bustle of city life in Tokyo, and everything from like the glitz and glamour of the fireworks show, and the town center where everyone's like walking and driving, to the calmer, maybe even shadier parts like the park, or the kind of rundown, not as nice looking area that Keisuke and Natsumi live and have their office in.
The atmosphere of this movie is incredible, and it doesn't sacrifice any energy for it. In fact, I'd argue it's slightly more energetic feeling and lively than Your Name, although maybe that just comes part and parcel with taking place in this big, huge city, although I guess Your Name did also half take place there, so maybe a bit of a redundant point, but I digress. Another aspect of that, though, is that the art style is ever so slightly different than the art style in Your Name, at least in terms of the character art. They are very similar, but the characters in this movie look a little more, I guess, rounded and bubbly feeling.
If Your Name was like a step up in character animation from the rest of Shinkai's filmography, this is a yet another boost to the character animation. There's hardly ever a moment where a character is just like saying something statically and it's just their lips flapping. They're always emoting. There's something like in their body language or their faces that's changing as they talk, and it just makes every bit of dialogue like so much more engaging and fun.
Yeah, I also love their designs. Hodaka looks nice. Hina looks kind of similar to Mitsuha, honestly, but I still love her design.
I don't know. I'd say Hina looks pretty distinct from Mitsuha.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't confusing the two, so.
Natsumi is incredibly fucking hot.
Yeah. Agreed.
Like even
Nagi
the cat,
looks cool.
I love Rain the cat more than I love the fucking cat thing from what the fuck was it called? Children Who Chase Lost Voices.
Yeah, I love when we have the 3-year time skip at the very end of the movie, and Ame's gone from a little kitten to like this almost like stocky cat.
It's got real fat and like now mimicking the mannerisms of Keisuke.
Yeah, very adorable.
There's so many little like seemingly throwaway moments that you could cut out of the movie, but then you just have a less fun movie. There's a whole like subplot that is very important, but it's in the grand scheme of things, but it's important to Natsume's character, and like it gives her like a feeling of like she's more of a person and less of just a side character. Her whole thing of trying to find a real full-time job while she just does this a cult magazine thing, this conspiracy theory magazine, just as a way to have an income.
It's so funny to me that Natsume and Keisuke, who are, by the way, totally the type of people who would have a shady magazine.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just really funny to me.
I love how there's this one scene that only lasts for like 10 seconds, where it's a montage, like a quick montage of her going like dressed up, going to all these different job interviews, and as she says the same thing every time. Of course, you are my first choice. You are my first choice. You are my first choice.
Just
you are my
more
first choice.
Exasperated every single time.
Because she,
I love.
she
Go
just
ahead.
doesn't have any like actual applicable skills to any of these jobs, and she's just like trying.
Hey,
her...
want to see my conspiracy theory magazine?
Yeah.
I also love how Natsume believes all of them. In Keisuke's just like, yeah, we're grifting people.
Yeah, I love how, oh my god, there's this awesome moment near the beginning of the movie where she takes Hodaka to go see this fortune teller, and she's like talking to her and like believing all the shit that she's saying. She's like, there's like those protected by a dragon god, and there are those protected by a fox spirit. Those protected by the dragon god drink a lot and are strong-willed, but are careless and unreliable. And she's like, oh my god, that's me. And then the fortune teller
Just like
says,
me for real.
yeah, then those protected by the fox spirit, they're hardworking and beautiful. And she's like, that's totally me, dude. And then it's like, and the fortune teller's like, the weather girls must be careful because everything comes with a price. And then at the end, she's just like, don't worry, ma'am, I'll be careful, because she thinks she's the weather girl.
And Hodaka at the end writing the article is just like, this is all garbage. Why are we writing this? And Keisuke is like, yeah, I know it's garbage.
But
just keep on writing.
If they're assholes,
People
they're
your
willing
age
to pay
love
for it. Yeah. Oh, there's another
I love
fucking one more awesome Natsume moment is when she's the Hodaka comes to her for advice on like what to get Hina for her birthday, and like she just goes, I know what I'd want: hugs and kisses, money, a boyfriend, and a real job. I'm just like, please let me in. Please God, let her be real, let her be mine. It's not fair, dude. I can make you happy, Natsume.
God, I would totally date Natsume. Nagi,
I think she's the
I also
hottest,
love Nagi.
Oh my god!
Shinkai
Fucking
character.
God King Nagi, the most based 8-year-old on the planet.
Hodaka literally calls Nagi senpai, which got a laugh out of me every time without fail. Because Nagi's over here well, first of all, Nagi's a lady man.
He's a fucking player.
Has an ex. He has an ex. And he brings who is presumably his current girlfriend there to help with the plan. So we got the current girlfriend and the ex. Or like there's the one scene where Hodaka's on the bus and Nagi's sitting there in the back, and there's a girl that comes over to sit with
and then
him.
like he's
and then goes away, and then there's another girl
schmutzing her up. Yeah, and as the shot is like genius directing, as like the girl is getting off the bus, and then like there's like some kind of like I think the sign of the bus stop, or like the bench or whatever, like the stop itself is like separating them. On the other side of the other door of the bus, the other girl gets in and comes in and then sits next to Nagi, and she's like, hey, did you cut your hair recently? Like, oh, it's real cute. And he's like, and Hodaka's like, this dude's a fucking player. Tokyo's fucking wild.
Dude, Nagi's got all the riz. all the
Yeah.
rays. And
Dude,
I love
Nagi is the actual best Shinkai character, and it's not even close.
I love the bit where they're getting ready to start doing the weather girl bit stuff, and Hodaka's made the umbrella with all the Tera Bozus on it, and then Nagi dresses up as a giant walking Tera Bozu. And then there's like, one bit where they're like doing it for a wedding, and the bride is hugging him, and he blushes through the
I'm
costume.
so glad you noticed that too, because I made a note of that. Like,
It's
the doll
rent-free
blushes
in my head.
Yeah. Oh my god, and we can't forget the actual best Nagi moment in the whole movie, where he just goes, he pulls Hodaka to one side, like, Hodaka, bro, listen up. I know you want to bang my sister, it's obvious, but you can't half-ass it. Being ambivalent is the worst thing you can do as a man. You gotta be clear before you start dating. Then you can be vague. Those are the basics, bro.
Bro, this
Sigma
guy's 10.
male mindset.
It literally is the Sigma male grind set, and he's 10. This, I'm jealous, frankly. I am jealous of how rizzed up this dude is.
Oh my god, and near the end of the movie, there's this fucking scene where, like, when he's taken into custody, and, like, he's gets visited by his two girlfriends, and they're being watched over by this cop, and then one of the girls says, "Oh my god, when you when I heard you were taken into custody, my heart won't stop beating. Here, Nagi, feel my chest." And even the police officer's like, "What the fuck?"
And then the ex touches it instead of him, because she presumably still has lingering feelings.
Yeah, and then, like, the reveal that Nagi called up his ex to help him escape the police. Like, not only did he get offered to touch one of his bitch's chests, not only does he get in touch with his ex to put one over on the cops, he successfully does so and fucking, like, the goddamn Home Alones or Goonies his way out of the fucking, like, the grasp of the police when he's a fucking 9-year-old. He's so unbelievably based.
Okay, what? I feel like we've gone on long enough about the side characters and Hodaka. We haven't talked about Hina yet.
She's great, and I will protect her with my life.
Yeah. She's very
Hodaka
she's a lot
did
more
nothing
bubbly
wrong.
and
I would have done the same thing, but we'll get into that later.
So Hina is a lot more bubbly than Hodaka, and originally, so they're both runaways, although at the beginning Hodaka is under the impression that she's much older than she says. Like, she's much older because she's lying to him and being like, yeah, I'm 18, or no, I'm about to turn 18 than she does, except she's actually 15. She's starts off with, like, a part-time job, and
At
he's
McDonald's.
under the impression that she's, like, living alone, but, like, it's allowed.
I just want to put a quick note in. When she gives Hodaka the Big Mac, and Hodaka's just like, man, that was like the best meal I had in all 16 years of my life. How fat was the McDonald's check that Shinkai was cashing, you think? Were you hungry for a Big Mac when you saw that?
I hope he wrung McDonald's dry of all their money.
Did you get a hankering for a Big Mac when you saw that wonderfully animated? Why does anime food look good?
I was hungry after the movie, but not during that scene, surprisingly.
I did eat McDonald's while I was watching the movie last night.
I am so jealous. I have not eaten today.
Oh my god, it's my brother in Christ, you skipped breakfast.
And lunch. It's 1:57 p.m.
Yeah, I haven't eaten lunch either. Well, to be fair, I haven't eaten breakfast either. I was still full after all the McDonald's I ate.
But yeah, she's a very fun character. I do love in her introduction scene after Hodaka saves her, she's like actually mad because she was trying to get rather, she agreed to work with the club by pretending to be older than she actually was, in order to, because she got fired from her old job and she's trying to make it as a runaway. And then
So
Hodaka
she's
comes in to
considering
save
like
her.
sex work.
Yeah. I think it was to be like the hostess of a club, I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure like it wasn't exact, like it's just straight up prostitution, but
Well, yeah, because the
it
police
comes with the
figure out.
territory.
He
Yeah.
admits it to the police. And he's like, "Your officer, I didn't know she was a minor." And he's just like, "No, it's not about that. We believe you." But yeah, she was going to become a worker at a hostess club, presumably, and Hodaka is like, no, you can't do this, and like takes her by the hand and runs away. And then the owner of the club is, it tracks him down and starts punching him. Obviously, he points a gun. But after all that kerfuffle, he takes her out back, and he's like, we finally ran away. And she's like actively mad at him, like, yo, I had to, because she was obviously having second thoughts, but her first reaction is still, dude, I agreed to do that, and yet you're here messing up my job, even though she was clearly, reconsidering it. It's still like, bruh, you got in the way of my Sigma female grind set. And bro, you pointed a gun at someone, like, dude. And she at first like makes to walk away, and Hodaka is like straight distraught that she basically grilled him for it, and he throws the gun rather irresponsibly. Just throws the gun away, like, dude, that could have fired if it hit a pebble the wrong way. That trigger could have been pulled again. But I digress. That is not proper firearm safety, Hodaka.
By the way, how great is it as a quite literal Chekhov's gun, where he throws the gun, and then when he gets cornered near the end of the movie in the same building where the shrine gate is, he finds the gun again and picks it back up. This is a very good.
In general, the gun in this movie is just such a good plot mechanic, because, dude, the amount of tension when he points the gun at someone for the first time, and the soundtrack is starting to get all distorted, and it's like, oh my god, wait, is he gonna do it? Dude, I was on the edge of my seat.
He does pull the trigger the first time, and there's this great shot of at first, they do the classic, you don't see the immediate aftermath, so it's like, oh my god, did he actually dome that motherfucker? But no, then we see the shot of like, no, the dude's fine, but there's a lamppost, street light just above them that's now broken because the bullet hit that instead, and like that was cool. And the thug dude's just like absolutely flabbergasted and just in shock, like, holy shit, they could have killed me right there.
Yeah, and he like slowly backs off. I love the gun in this movie.
Gun is in fact the best character in the movie. Fuck Nagi.
Gun-kun, yeah. And I think that about does her for the characters, unless you've got something else to say about based Hina.
What's great about Hina, and this actually will transition nicely into the other like big topic about this movie, is that I think I mentioned this earlier, that this is like the first time in a Shinkai movie where not only our protagonist is a not very upstanding individual, but like pretty much every single like primary character is kind of a morally dubious or socially irresponsible person.
Yeah, because Hina is also a runaway, and, obviously lying to employers in order to get a job. And presumably the reason why she gets fired from McDonald's is because they realize, wait, she ain't who she says she is. She's straight up 15.
Yeah, Hodaka's a runaway and just becomes a criminal more and more as the movie goes on. Hina's runaway.
Yeah, Hodaka is like straight up running from the police. So is Hina as well, running away with him and wanting to live outside the law.
Keisuke and Natsumi are beer drinking, lazy, like conspiracy magazine writers.
and one of them knows it's a grift and drinks away his sorrows as well as smokes.
Yeah,
And he smokes despite having a daughter with asthma as well.
Yeah, he makes an effort to quit, but then after the whole thing with like Hina near the end of the movie, he picks it back up again after he kicked Hodaka out.
Natsumi straight up gets on a motorbike to help Hodaka flee the police near the end of the movie. And
Yeah,
she's
she
like, I'm an
becomes a criminal.
outlaw. This feels so cool.
Yeah,
She
I know what
loves
I'll
the
do.
idea of living outside the law.
Yeah, then she's like, I've got it now. I'll become a motorcycle cop, and then Hodaka's like, you are never getting a police job after this.
Yeah, they all get sent. Hodaka gets sent into the police, then runs away from the police. Nagi gets sent to the police, which, to be fair, Nagi is arguably the most innocent one of the cast, and even he was completely okay with running away from the police.
Yeah,
and also devises
we
a
say
scheme
he's the
to get
most
away
okay, but
from
also
them.
he's kind of a two-timing the playboy at age
true,
8.
true.
Granted, it's hard to like to hold that. You can't cancel him on Twitter for that, but. He's fucking,
you'd be
he's
surprised.
fucking 8 years old.
You'd be surprised
like,
at what Twitter would cancel people for.
Yeah, but like
they would hold it against
even
the
then, like the
10-year-olds.
fact that he has like this pre-established playboy streak at all just adds one more interesting spice to the chowder that is this movie.
I like it when characters are straight immoral, dog. Which is why I like Urusei Yatsura. And granted, some you have your limits, which are far lower than mine. I tolerate the most evil characters.
Yeah, everyone knows that the main dude from Redo of Healer is your personal idol, and that show was your Black Panther.
yeah, sure, let's go with that. Yeah, I just that they're all criminals. And it's based.
They become criminal. They all become criminals by the end of the movie. Yeah, Hodaka and Hina are the only ones who's like pretty much start out as criminals, but yeah, as the movie goes on, everyone just becomes okay. This movie is very fuck the police. This movie is ACAB as fuck.
Based. Let's see. I don't have many notes for this movie because I was just too enraptured by. Oh, the OST.
I have 4 pages of notes.
I have a page and not barely even 2 because by the time I was halfway through the movie, I was just sitting there, watching my screen, refusing to look away for even a second. But the OST of this movie, I told Neon this before the podcast. But I'm right now, because my headphones broke, I'm wearing like $5 garbage, bass boosted sounding, underwater sounding headphones. And it is a straight disgrace to this movie's incredible soundtrack. Dude, when it first shows all the flooding when they make the decision to run away from the police and, like start a new life, get out of the pickle they're stuck in. And it's just like flashing all the different, oh my god, there's like record rainfall. The song that plays, I need to listen to that on YouTube. It is I think
it's the one that goes like I know I'm only singing the English version because that's the one I listen to most.
It's not the insert song, it's the OST.
Oh, okay, so it's not a Radwimp song?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say all the Radwimp music
songs
though
are
is
pretty. Which, by the way, there's like 5 of them. There are like 5 insert songs in this movie.
Yeah, and like not all of them by Radwimps, like the last movie. There's some. I am sad that I did not look up who they were before, but I think there's 3 songs that are like the best. The first one is There Anything That Love Can Do, which is like used throughout the movie, where it's like the piano rendition of it throughout the movie, where it's just like dun 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 dun. And I noticed it on the second viewing because I listened to that song a bunch after seeing it for the first time January 2020.
All the slice of life songs are really good and charming and fun, and I would totally put them as like background music in a YouTube video. That's really the metric of a good soundtrack. If I'm like, damn, I want to put this in a YouTube video, that's how you know you're hooking me in with the OST.
When you're risking the copyright cock coming down on you.
Are these songs like the songs in the OST copyrighted?
My brother in Christ, it is a movie.
True. Although, with the OSTs, if you play it over commentary, they tend not to get picked up. Like
if you
the
play it quietly
Monogatari
enough.
OST. A lot of the Monogatari OST is copyrighted, and I just use that without without really caring all that much.
The man with no fear. I love the energy of this movie, of how much joy it takes in not only the just the emotional spectrum that this movie will make you feel. It's real. It's not unlike Your Name. It runs the emotional gamut of, oh boy, I'm feeling like all these good emotions, but I feel like it excels here in just seeing how it affects our characters directly. Just seeing our boys, Hina, Nagi, and Hodaka just palling around Tokyo, going from place to place, and no matter how big or how small, they'll go to part the rain in their little Sunshine Girl business. I love how like you'll see all the different reasons that people have to part the rain, like some person's wedding day. There's a guy betting on a horse, and the can't run well when it's raining. There's these cosplayers who want to do a comic convention. And then there's just these little fucking kids at a school who want to play outside.
That was hilarious.
And I love the 1-2 punch of that joke, where it's like when they're getting paid all the different amounts of money, the kids just hand him a 50 yen coin.
I replayed that scene like 5 times. It's so cute.
Yeah, and the cosplayers hand them money and a bunch of like their merch.
Yeah.
It's so many little things like this throughout the movie that like inject it with such like life.
The main thought running through my mind throughout much of the film is this movie is pure joy. When it hits you with the emotional high points, you feel them really well. And it makes you in turn understand why Hodaka wants to keep this life going so badly, because it's like, yes, as a viewer, I also want it to keep on continuing and to see them persist like this, even though I know they should go back to their parents and should just turn themselves in, like maybe I don't know, Skype. It's still like, hey, as a viewer, I enjoy this, so I want to root for them.
Yeah, but like they're having fun, and outside of Hodaka's parents and presumably Hina's father, we never get mention of where Hina's dad is Hina Nagi's dad is through the movie. And since her mother,
it's anime, dads don't exist.
It's true. Well, the Keisuke's a dad.
True. Rare sighting, in parentheses, rare, dad in anime. Oh wait, he's an alcoholic, of course. The one dad in anime, and he's an alcoholic and a smoker, and smokes despite his daughter having asthma. There we go.
I can't. I just forgot what I was saying. Fucking. Yeah. So their lifestyle is ultimately criminal, and yeah, it is hurting their parents. Will assume that Hina's dad is out there. But they're having fun, and outside of them, no one is getting like directly hurt or abused because of this. So no
why one's
not?
Getting hurt yet.
Yeah. So why not pursue this lifestyle? They're able to. They're making money. They're making ends meet. So and no one's getting like. They're not scamming people. They're not like scamming
well,
people.
I mean,
with their
you
Sunshine
say
Girl.
that, but they're Hodaka, at the very least, openly helps out with a blatantly fake conspiracy magazine. So I guess you could say not really
who's
scam,
suffering,
but...
who's getting. Well, I was referring to the Sunshine Girl thing, where it's like Hina and Hodaka aren't scamming
the Sunshine
people.
Girl, yeah. The Sunshine Girl is completely. I guess you could. I guess it does feel a little weird to like profit directly off of like making it sunny outside, but at the same time, it's helping propping up
This is
their
the future that
continued
Jeff
existence.
Bezos wants.
A real
when he's able
capitalism
to-
moment right there.
When he's able to put up the ozone layer destroyer and then sell us breathable air.
The Bezos dome.
But the part that like the movie, the reason that Hodaka is like so willing to throw out all logic is because he just has this outward disdain towards his home life that this is my one criticism of the movie, that I wish it did a little better job at explaining why he has such a disdain for his home. Like, he says that he felt suffocated, but we don't ever see him like at his home life outside of one part of him trying to chase a beam of light on his bike on his home island. Granted, that it would maybe mess with the pacing of the movie to either like flash back to a bit of his home life, or like begin the movie with his him being stifled at home. But it does like it did get me thinking, like, man, he's willing to go through all of this like literal homelessness and subpar living conditions and shady business stuff to live in the city, like living by the skin of his teeth from paycheck to paycheck. And he'd still prefer that just as opposed to just going home where he just has a place to be. He'd rather get beat down in Tokyo where at least he knows he's free.
To be fair, as someone who does live in the middle of nowhere and who is surrounded by people who also live in the middle of nowhere, I do know that it is not uncommon to really, really want to be anywhere with people in it, where you're so used to living in like little places with like 50 to 200 people living there, that it's anywhere
I can understand
with people,
like
I don't care what tribulations I need to go through.
Yeah, I can understand the desire to. I was just I felt like the movie might have benefited from just having even like a dream a dream sequence of him sleeping one night and just remembering his like home life, to just give us a show don't tell of his why he thought his home life was so stifling. Because, you know, it's easy to say it for like people who actually live there in real life and can tell you all about it, but you know, this is a movie.
I mean, I guess if you really need that justification or really want it, personally, I just don't care. Like, I bought into the explanation
I
immediately.
mean, I bought into it too. I just feel like it would have gone like even
like to understand his character more and his motivations.
Yeah, because like I never like doubted why, like I never like once thought, man, kid, just get the fuck out of Tokyo, just go home already. I just felt like one little bit would have just been it would have been that one little thing to like finally complete the thing, because like especially when we're talking about a character who is so desperate to escape his home life, he's even willing to hold on to a gun and also fire it at someone, like, because like all of this at the end of the day is to the means to the end of keeping Hina in his life and making sure that life is spent in the city of Tokyo and not in the fucking boonies.
I mean, I guess that's a fair perspective to have, although personally, I just didn't feel that way. I was perfectly content with the amount of explanation we got. Although to be fair, maybe it's because I just live in a place like he did. That's like this small town, nowhere, no one lives here, you know, all that.
So then,
just inherently understand that more.
What is the thing in the movie that is holding it back from you for you to make it a 10 out of 10?
It's honestly not even. It's like a Garden of Words situation, just to a lesser extent, where it's like, I completely buy into what this movie is trying to do and think it does it very, very exceptionally well. But if I'm thinking on the level of like personal enjoyment, like, okay, if I move this movie to a 10, then I don't know, like Assassination Classroom, although not really a good comparison for much of anything related to this, is nonetheless a show that I would say I enjoyed wholesale more than this movie. Well, then that gets moved up to a 10, and so on and so forth. And it's more of an issue of, well, I think what it's trying to do, it does exceptionally well and masterfully, but is what it's trying to do necessarily going to appeal to me enough to be a 10? And the answer to that is, by a hair, no. Although it is absolutely a 9 out of 10. There's a part, like, my exact thought process was, how much do I like this movie? Could I justify putting it at an 8? No, oh my lord, no, wait, no, that's completely unfitting. Could I justify putting it as a 10? Not really, but I mean, it's a little, it's less passionate, admittedly, than the no for the 8.
Yeah, pretty much the thing with Hodaka is the only thing keeping me from giving it a 10. Along with there are some moments where the dialogue is a little too hammy for the emotional moments that it's that's trying to convey, like the scene where he's like running along the train tracks towards the shrine building, and I feel like we could have done with a little less narration there, and because it kind of made the whole thing be a little goofy. There are some good lines in there for sure, but I feel like there's someone where he's like saying her name like a few too many times over and over, and maybe a few too many shots of him just like being seen by all the people like running along the train tracks.
I thought that
like
was based, honestly. I'm gonna have to do a 180 there and say no, that was awesome. Because what I liked about seeing the people, just because it is admittedly like a little goofy, and all the people there, looking at him and being like, this guy's a moron. But what it sold to me was, he just doesn't care about how it looks. He doesn't care about what rules he has to break, how idiotic he needs to seem to anyone else looking. He doesn't care
agree.
what anyone else thinks.
I agree. I just thought there was like a couple too many of those shots.
I mean, I guess if
I got the point of it,
many,
and then it went on a little longer.
I did not mind it going on longer because I thought it really sold. To me, what also sold that scene was like, it's so clear that he's just in such, like physical pain and exhaustion throughout that run, and the extra shots to me sold like just how arduous of a journey it is. I thought that entire scene was one of the parts that stuck with me the most after my first viewing. That scene of him just running and running continuously, just trying to make it to Hina as quickly as possible despite the pain.
Oh, actually, that's a good point that you just reminded me of. That's why it's not a 10. Hodaka and Hina don't kiss.
That, I did absolutely have a problem with that. I'm glad you brought that up. You know what, never mind. Yeah, at the end of the movie, I was like, and then they kiss, and then they kiss, and then they... Wait, what?
Why are the credits rolling?
Is it black? No, you're supposed to... Wait, hold on, you could have had greatness. Wait, what?
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
Weirdly, I mean, it's more understandable why it didn't happen in Your Name, but I don't know. Did Makoto Shinkai just decide no kissing in movies anymore? Did he just decide that one day?
Yeah, he got his he exercised his demons with 5 centimeters per second, and there was like, yep, never again.
It's like, bruh, they're meeting after 3 years. Don't you want to complete the moment? They've been so desperate to see each other this whole time. They like run towards each other and hug, and they're like so excited. And then you're not gonna kiss, bruh.
Yeah, especially when up to this point, this is easily the best couple that Shinkai has ever written.
Absolutely. Like,
yeah, this
no
is
questions about it.
Like, well, this is like what Taki and Mitsuha should have been throughout Your Name, where it's like when Taki and Mitsuha are up on the mountaintop and they're interacting with each other, it's like, and I'm buying wholesale into their love at that given moment and want them so desperately to get together. Like, it's that, but with actual build-up.
It I'm really glad you brought that up because yeah, it's the relationship that we wanted from Your Name. You know, in Your Name, it's just them arguing with each other. But in Weathering with You, it's like, well, you see the argument at the beginning. You see how they maybe didn't start on the best of terms, but then you see them like going on all these adventures together and genuinely getting to know each other and becoming like a fixture in each other's lives to the point where they're literally in a hotel room together, sleeping on the same bed. It's like, bruh, it's
Bro,
Kino.
how it unironically like super Kino moment of where the whole time like they pull a twofer joke with this one, not it's kind of unlike the boob joke with the in Your Name, and also in this movie where Natsumi does bring it back around one time where after Hodaka finds out that Natsumi is Keisuke's niece, and then she's just like, wow, so this whole time you've been having like dirty mistress fantasies between the two of us, and that's so perverted, like classic Hodaka. And then to break the mood, she's just like, hey Hodaka, you staring at my tits again?
That moment was awesome.
Yeah, and so in the same vein as that, because Shinkai's a fucking genius, there's one moment where early in the movie when they're setting up the Sunshine Girl business, and he's like, well, yeah, hey, Hina, you know, it's either this or you can go do that sex the hostess job, and if this is just my opinion, but I don't think you have like the body for it. And then she's like, where are you looking, Hodaka? And like she's this fucking really cute cut of her like the clutching her body and then eating a piece of the cake that she had, well, like pouting at him. That's real cute. But then, oh my god, the payoff. And it's like, this is like both such a weird blend of like, oh, that's really sad, and like you think one thing like, whoa, is she like gonna come on to him or something? Like, no, I was like, oh no, I'm sad now. Where after she asks, do you wish the rain would go away? And then Hodaka's like, oh yeah, I suppose I would, if the rain stopped, that'd be pretty cool. And so she takes off the bathrobe that she had on from the bath that she took while at the hotel, and she disrobes like the entirety of her chest, but instead of like seeing her breast, it's the water that's going through her body as like which represents her body fading away, and like she's pretty upset about it, obviously, but then she like tries to lighten the mood with a joke like, hey, where do you think you're looking, Hodaka? And then Hodaka's like immediately blurts out, I'm not looking, I'm looking at you, Hina. And then he starts crying because he realizes that she's fading away. Fuck,
that
dude.
Scene really hit me in the feels. That was great.
It's like the total opposite effect of the boob joke from Your Name, where like he you think that he's not gonna like bring it back, but then ends up making a boob joke into like this emotional payoff where when Taki finds out Mitsu's finally alive again and he's back in her body, to know that she's okay, and like he hugs himself at first in her body, and then when the little sister walks in like, hey, you better not be fondling your chest again, and then she's like she's doing it while crying. Like,
and then the sister says, I think Mitsu has officially lost it.
Yeah, it's like this is the inverse of that scene where it's like a pervy, you know, my sexy body joke, but now like it's like, oh, instead of it being like happy and funny, now it's sad and no longer funny.
This is a complete pivot to an unrelated topic, but when the grandpa, so Keisuke, and what the fuck is her name? Natsumi?
Natsumi, yeah.
It is? Natsumi. Okay, good. I
can't believe
I got it right for once. And you know they're together with this old grandpa who's telling them about weather girls, and he says, in the first place, we don't know what weather is normal and isn't. And I paused the movie and I'm just like, he's a climate change denier. He totally is.
I mean, well, the movie does bring up an interesting like position on climate change. And it's not one that like
Oh no,
denies
Neon's about
its
to go mask
existence.
off.
Oh god, it's time to take the red pill, boys. Like there's when I watched this movie in theaters, G Kids provided a interview with it afterwards. And since you saw it in theaters, I don't know if you saw it too.
I don't recall that.
It happened at the end of the credits, so I don't know if you stuck around for that entire time.
I mean, if I did, I don't remember it at all.
Okay, because like yeah, the in the interview, Shinkai does make the point that yeah, the reason that this the weather plays such a huge role in this is because it is like a metaphor for climate change. But the avenue that he takes with this is because normally in movies or like media like this, when they incorporate climate change as a theme, it's more of like a message of like, hey, take up we gotta take up arms, we gotta do our best to do our part to fight back against it. But it seems like in this movie, Shinkai is making the point to be like, climate change is like a bad thing that's happening to the planet, and we should probably do everything we can to like, do our part to keep the planet that we live on clean and healthy. But the movie doesn't take any like adamant, we gotta do something about this, man. And almost, to me at least, he's taking the stance of, yeah, like climate change is a thing that's happening, but at the same time, the planet's been doing this, like the planet's been around way longer than humanity, and our records of weather have only existed as long as we have been keeping track of records. Like the grandpa shrine keeper or whatever that they go meet says like, the news always likes to make a big huff about record-breaking weather, but when did those records start being recorded? Like 100, 200 years ago? Like the thousands of years ago, this planet was probably going through like such severe weather storms and dramatic shifts in climate that were like fucking up like stuff that we can't even imagine in this day and age, and like probably shaped the planet to where we are now. Near the end of the movie, Taki's grandmother, which by the way, Taki and Mitsuha are in this movie, but we'll get back to that. Taki's grandmother, after the Tokyo gets flooded, she tells Hodaka like, hey, Tokyo, well, like I think 200 years ago, she said, used to like not even be above water. It used to be like when this place was known as Edo, in like the Edo period or whatever, Tokyo just used to be like a bay. So like the way Tokyo is now that it's all flooded, this used to be how it was like 200 years ago. So, and like with all that and the flooding and Shinkai making it a point through like characters like him, Keisuke saying, hey man, the weather's always been crazy, the world's always been shifting radically, and having the nonstop rain throughout the movie. It almost feels like Shinkai is like saying, yeah, we should fight against climate change, but at the same time, at the end of the day, what are we gonna do about it? We will never have a
Japanese is it to shikata genai climate change?
Yeah, to be like, yeah, I mean, climate change is a pretty bad thing, but at the same time, realistically,
it can't be helped, man.
Yeah, like literally, what are we gonna do? And it does. It's time to take the red pill. Obviously global warming is a thing, and climate change is a thing, but I do somewhat subscribe to the notion that like, yeah, the planet does kind of do this, and yeah, well, I do think humans are not helping with our, the gases that we're pumping into the air and whatnot. I do think that we will never be able to destroy or like disrupt the ecosystem of the planet to the extent that, doomsday ecologists and whatnot think we are, because it reminds me of this George Carlin bit, which is one of my favorite George Carlin bits. I don't know if you're familiar with his work.
I know the joke you're talking about, where it's like trying
the
to
planet's been
the
through
exact
way worse
phrasing.
than we've ever put it through.
It wasn't that line specifically, but I have heard of the bit before.
Yeah, it's like where he's calling out Earth Day and how fucking stupid it is. where it's like he lists off all these natural disasters and things that like the planet can just go through and has been throughout. It's like billions of years of existence, of known existence that we've able to keep track of, or at least go back to in history. And it's been through meteors, it's been through earthquakes, it's been through tsunamis, tidal waves, hurricanes, like the magnetic reversal of the poles, sunspots, solar flares, all this kinds of shit. And we think fucking some plastic and aluminum cans and those fucking drink holders that some sea life tend to choke to death on. We think that's gonna fuck the planet, like, to a point where we're not gonna live on it anymore. It's like the planet.
Like, in fairness, I do agree with you that it's probably not gonna cause an apocalypse.
Yeah,
it's actually it's extremely difficult to cause a legitimate apocalypse with climate change.
Yeah, we are going to
my understanding,
not to like doomer pill or like to doom scroll in mid podcast, but like we are going to, like, humanity will get wiped out by nuclear apocalypse before any like natural, like before any ecological or nature based disaster will.
Either atomic bombs or AI. That's my
yeah,
guess.
The robot uprising will happen. We will go through Terminator before we go through the Princess Mononoke.
No, even better. The AI is going to use nukes to do it as efficiently as possible, so it'll be both.
That you are literally describing Terminator.
I've not seen Terminator, but
you are literally describing Skynet.
Amazing.
Yeah, so the joke that Carlin makes is like, yeah, the planet, it's fine. The planet's not going anywhere. We are. Humanity will get wiped off of the Earth before the Earth gets like destroyed, fucked up to the point where it is like completely inhospitable to life. Like if the Earth and nature deems it so, it will like do whatever it takes to, like, if the Earth deems humanity as a cancer or a virus that needs to be wiped out in order to maintain its survival, then the Earth will will put itself through like earthquakes or tidal waves or climate change of any kind to eradicate us. And hilariously enough, he does mention a virus in that joke. And, you know, when COVID happened, people were like kind of tugging on their shirt collars a little bit.
How convenient.
Yeah, so, and the reason I bring this up is because it seems like the kind of attitude that the movie is adopting, which I guess kind of also ties into the big ending where we could talk about it now, where Hodaka, Hina is sacrificed and taken away into the sky world, where in order for her to, as long as she is up there, the rain will stop and the sun will shine in Tokyo.
I'm going to cut you off real quick because I need to absolutely mention this. What is it with Shinkai stranding girls in places where no other people are? It happened in Place Promised, it happened in Your Name, and now it's happening again in Weathering with You. 2 is a coincidence.
I'm starting to think Shinkai
pattern.
might have a greater fetish than feet or trains.
Well, no, nothing's gonna beat his train fetish, but yeah, just something about stranding girls in alternate dimensions or worlds or timelines where there's no other people.
Maybe he's the ultimate incel.
And the main boy has to come in and like return them to society. Back to society. There we go.
Well, hey, maybe Suzume will maybe Suzume will change it up. It'll be a boy who's trapped, and then Suzume will be able to save him. Maybe Chair-kun will get
a chair in the middle of
alternate...
the apocalypse.
Yeah. So we'll get some nice Evangelion looking imagery.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god, fucking Suzume sitting in the chair with their head in the hand doing the Shinji pose.
I need that.
Instant 10 if
you know
that's
what?
real. That could be.
When we watch Suzume, I'm gonna go onto the piracy sites and like cut out a frame of the movie in order to replicate that. We need to make that a thing.
If we can't do that, I will commission art to make that the art for the podcast, the thumbnail for the podcast.
Yes. I'm holding you to this, Neon. We are absolutely making that the thumbnail.
All right. That's $1 million idea. That's the first podcast to get 1 million views. All right.
I better be after that.
Yeah. Oh, and I guess this is a good time to mention before we dive into the ending. Taki and Mitsuha, they're here. They're here.
I will describe to you my exact reaction for both of them. When I saw Taki, my thoughts were, get out now, get out of the film. I don't want you here. You're one of the not good Shinkai characters. And when I saw Mitsuha, I was like,
Come on.
It's Mitsuha! Oh, I love her so much! So yeah, those are my thoughts.
Ain't it fucked up how Taki has 2 scenes and Mitsuha only has like one, like
I was
30 seconds at
rioting in
most.
my head. She's just there,
At a jewelry store.
Yeah, and she's like selling him the jewelry, and like, it'll look good. I saw you were standing there for 3 hours. She's gonna love it, bro. And then her time is done, and I'm like, I'm rioting in my head. I'm like, no, bring her back. We need more of her. She is based. We need her instead of Taki. Do it now, Shinkai. You know, that's why this movie isn't a 10. It's because there wasn't enough Mitsuha.
I did kind of like it though, as a sort of passing the torch between Your Name to Weathering with You. I don't know if Shinkai holds the same sentiment. Maybe he does, but maybe he thinks Weathering with You is a better constructed movie than Your Name.
I mean, I although I can't read his mind, I can say that with about 99% certainty that he thinks of Weathering with You as better constructed than Your Name. I'm calling it right here.
Yeah, it was pretty nice to see Taki talk to both Hina and Hodaka. I thought it was pretty neat. Maybe it was a little, he's got his thumb up his own ass, but you know what? After the success that Your Name had, he earned it.
Fair enough. Although we still need more Mitsuha.
He does joke in that same interview that he's unsure of whether or not Hodaka and Hina will show up in his next film, which in this case would be Suzume. So that'll be a thing to keep our eyes peeled for. So far he's 2 for 2 on returning characters between Yukino showing up in Your Name and Taki Mitsuha showing up in Weathering with You.
Honestly, I would be completely on board with having Hodaka and Hina both in
Have them be a couple.
Yes. You know what? The kiss that we didn't see in Weathering with You, we need that in the background of Suzume. They're like a casual couple now. They're living together. They just like casually, kiss each other right before one of them goes to work or whatever.
But he also said that I don't know if I'm gonna be able to because I kind of flooded Tokyo at the end of the movie. So if we're continuing the Shinkai cinematic universe theory, unless we're diving into multiverse theory, in which case,
the multiverse where Tokyo, where they, she wasn't a weather girl, and
the
Tokyo
multiverse of
is
Makoto.
completely fine.
Doctor Strange. All right, I think that's all the pre-ending notes that we have. Unless you have anything else you just want to squeeze in real quick.
I am looking. I feel like I got to all of them. Yep.
Yeah, all right. So that's we're in the end game now, boys. Hina's been sacrificed. She's been spirited away. She no longer exists, and everyone in Tokyo has a dream of her going up into the sky and being spirited away. And just like that, the sun is back. And they can see clearly now that the rain is gone.
There's this amazing shot of Hodaka, like he's inside of the police station, and he steps out of the shade, and he has to like put his hand over his eyes in order to look up at the sky because it is so sunny. And I'm like, oh, that's so good. And it hits you in the gut, and it's like, oh yeah, like as soon as Hina leaves, she sacrificed herself for presumably the greater good.
And just to add insult to injury, is one more bit of salt in the wound and twisting the knife. The ring that Hodaka gives to Hina, it falls through her finger because her body's like made of water now, and falls down from the sky in directly in front of Hodaka, who picks it up, and he's just like man is distraught. Man is beyond consoling. It's Jover for him.
It is so Jover. But he escapes from the police and has the long montage of him running. He is now officially an outlaw. Well, even more of one than he was before, rather. And we get all this in a sequence that I thought was really cool. We get all the side characters weaving themselves back into the plot. Obviously, Natsume on her motorcycle. And we eventually get Keisuke, who he thinks he's gone mad. And he's like, yo, just turn yourself in, go back to your family. It's all gonna work out, I promise. And Hodaka is just like, no. What if I just didn't
I don't
do
have
that?
a life without Hina in it.
And Keisuke eventually gets won over to Hodaka's side through the sheer emotion with which he conveys it, as well as his past of his wife, is sort of kicking the bucket. And he's like, oh, like he gets it. He gets what life is like when you don't have the girl you love with you there. He's like, you're crazy, man, but I gotta hand it to you. You know what? I'll give you this one. I'll punch a cop for you.
That's how you measure the true friendship. How willing are you to punch a cop for your bro?
And Nagi's also there, and he punches a cop. It's
I don't think he punches. I think he just tackles him and pulls the hair.
Yeah,
pulls his hair.
Yeah. Grabbing at his hair.
There's one little like thing that we forgot to mention. When after Hina sacrifices herself and Hodaka and Nagi get taken by the cops. When the cops are questioning him, Hodaka's like, hey, so the 15-year-old Hina Amano, did you like, where is she now? And he's like, wait, she's supposed to, like, she's 17. She turned 18 just today. And she's like, nope, she's 15, and she like just turned 16 now. And then Hodaka realizes, oh my god, I was the older one. And like and now it hits him even harder that like he was like supposed to be the one to look after her, because in Japan they have the whole culture of the older you are, the more responsibility you bear, and you it is more your duty and responsibility to look after those younger than you.
And how funny, just amazing in retrospect that Hina, while lying about her age, treated Hodaka as a little kid, and was like, hey, I'm older than you. So, you're talking to someone older than you right now. Bro, give me some respect. Even though she was younger all along.
And it was all in the name, because like
she even funnier in retrospect.
She couldn't wait to grow up, and to be fair, she is kind of emotionally more mature than Hodaka.
Yeah.
And
but eventually,
Hodaka, the big chase happens.
Yeah. And then he finds his way to the Torii Gate that turned Hina into a weather girl in the first place. And he goes through the gate and gets sent up way into the cloud world and rescues Hina from there. He sees this like giant whale that's made up of like little fish that I guess live in the cloud ecosystem, and eventually makes his way back down to Hina. Although I do wonder, where are the other weather girls?
Probably dead.
Do they just
they probably
live
are
their
those
life
fish
alone there? And oh wait, that's a good
Maybe.
theory actually. I subscribe to that theory. Never mind, that's my headcanon. They're the fish. After they pass away, they turn into the fish.
I love the two best moments from the scene of him getting swept up into the cloud world, and like seeing the dragon god and whatnot. When he's like when Hina's jumping after him to escape with him, And there's the whole thing of like, oh, they're holding on to each other. No, they let go. They're falling. Oh no, what's gonna happen? And then as they're falling, and Hina's like, why'd you save me? And Hodaka is just pleading with her, please, like, just do something for yourself for once. You don't have to, part the sunshine anymore. I don't care if the weather. I don't care if I never see a blue sky again. I want you more than any blue sky. I don't care if I never see the sun. Let the weather stay crazy. Like, all this shit where it's like, sound like you can make the argument that Hodaka's being incredibly selfish and a maniac to deny the rest of at least the rest of Tokyo, the ability to see the sun and just drown them in a never-ending storm.
Well,
with like it's literally just Wind Waker. He Wind Wakers all of Tokyo, and he's just like, you have to fucking deal with it.
Well, there's an interesting facet, I guess, to this whole idea of like whether or not it's ethical to do that, because think about the trade-off. I mean, I guess we're just jumping straight into the ending and the ethics of it, because that's what the discussion online is about. So
Hodaka did, in fact, do nothing wrong.
So Hina, she objectively will die up there without any human contact. She's going to be miserable without anyone there. She's going to go insane and eventually die up in the cloud world unless someone comes to save her. And you're essentially putting someone through years, presumably years of torture until she, I guess, starves herself to death. Well, there didn't seem to be any food up there, so I guess she just slowly starves to death and becomes a fish in an alternate world in order to give Tokyo sunshine. Okay, so it's either you kill someone and have all nice and dandy weather and you don't have to relocate anyone, or you don't kill anyone and it gets all rainy and depressing and you have to relocate everyone. And if you don't, people will probably die due to flooding. There will be, economic crises. The government of Japan obviously is not.
We'll just do what Ben Shapiro said. We'll just, if the water levels rise, we'll just sell our homes.
I thought that same thing.
Aquaman will come in and he'll buy everything. He'll buy them all.
There's also another facet to it in that Hina is not the only weather girl, presumably. There used to be a bunch of them, and there's still myths of them around, and there's still talk of them. Is there any guarantee that Hina will be the only weather girl? And if not, is it okay to set the precedent that, you can slowly flood the world? And, weather girl after weather girl will, come back down to Earth, and inevitably, the world will become a giant flood. Obviously, that hinges on whether or not you think that there are more weather girls out there, which there used to be a bunch of them, but you don't see them anymore. But Hina still exists, obviously. So it's a matter of, well, how many of these Torii gates are around? How many are there? Is there going to be more than one weather girl? But if you assume that there's either going to be no more weather girls or so few of them that it doesn't really matter, then I guess you could, disregard any potential to set a precedent. And if you set aside that precedent, is it really so unfair to say that choosing not to kill someone is worth it in exchange for flooding Tokyo? Is it really so far-fetched?
What makes it the moral quandary even more enticing in this movie is because the dream that after Hina gets sacrificed, everyone in Tokyo seems to have, and goes online and says like, bro, you dreamt of the Sunshine Girl? I dreamt of her too. And they all like had the same dream of her getting spirited away, and Keisuke in particular is like thinking about how even if it was like a real human sacrifice and they believed all the stories that he and Natsume found out in their research, he explicitly says like everyone would be fine if like if it meant to stop the never-ending rain, like who cares if just like one person gets sacrificed? Because like the people
explicitly
even though they might have a different tune, if they actually like knew what they were what the dream meant, and like it wasn't just a dream that they all happened to share. Like if they had the choice to sacrifice Hina, they probably wouldn't be so on board with it. But the fact that they just seem to be okay with the exit of the Sunshine Girl, or like they're all celebrating without them actually knowing that a sacrifice had to have taken place to bring the rain to an end. And they're all happy. They're all like going back in the street. We see kids playing in the sun, in the puddles of the streets, be like, "Hey, we can go outside again."
I absolutely love how the movie sets up this idea that the weather alone can make people happy. You know, it ties into the whole Sunshine Girl thing where it's like, oh, I can make the sun go out. And that instantly makes everyone's faces light up, their days better, they're objectively doing good. And then, you know, with that setup in mind, it's an even harder gut punch to have to flood Tokyo in order to save Hina. It's just very effective storytelling.
It's the contradiction that Hodaka makes to himself, like later, like that as the movie goes on, that makes this so interesting. Because like he's talking about how the weather can make you feel things, and like how sunshine can like make you happier, and rain can make you more depressed as the movie goes on. But then when it's when Hina's taken away, and like he's so desperate to get her back and like spend the rest of his life with her, that and says things like, "I want you more than any blue sky. I don't care if I never see the sun again." Where he comes to this new conclusion. It's like, you know what? Fuck, like the weather can be. It doesn't matter what the weather is. Like fuck it. I just want the person in my life who I love the most to continue to be there. That's what matters to me most now.
You know, even weirder than that is that Hodaka at the beginning is like super excited about the rainfall on the boat, and I get the feeling that Shinkai has a bit of on top of his foot and train and trapping girls in isolated locations thing. I also think he just likes the rain. I mean, we also got Garden of Words, which the characters get together only when it's raining, and not gonna lie. Right, so this morning it began raining outside, and this was before I saw Weathering with You. And when I looked out the window and saw that it was raining, I had straight pretty much the same reaction that Hodaka did, just not as animated. Like I was straight excited for that rain, dude. And so when Hodaka got out on the ship, was like ecstatic about the rain, I was like, this is my people. I get this.
He's one of us.
He's just like me for real.
And
so yeah, I feel with Shinkai on loving the rain, assuming he does, which I mean I'd put 90% odds on it.
Yeah, I mean he's been drawing the weather as like throughout his entire career, so I would not be surprised. And he's with Hodaka bringing Hina back. Yeah, the other best moment in that whole sequence is when they finally clasp hands and are not letting go. Then this fucking incredible sweeping song plays. That's like perfectly timed with their holding on to each other, and it's like, oh my god! I think it's called Grand Escape, and it's like so uplifting
for this. Weathering with You OST. Like, not even just the insert songs, but the, just the instrumental songs. I need to know who did it.
I think it was Radwimps.
Did the OST?
I think.
If it's Radwimps, then bro did an amazing job.
And then that leads into the flooding of Tokyo. It's all 3 years flooded. We are living in Wind Waker now. People have the granted Shinkai did seem to imply that it did not like happen overnight. It happened over the span of 3 years, which I guess would give enough people time to evacuate the area because no one, presumably no one died. So it is a little convenient for the narrative, but you know, for the message he's trying to give.
I wouldn't consider it convenient
Well,
necessarily.
convenient in the sense of how easy is it to make this moral quandary now that we know, like, there hasn't been any sacrifice outside of people just had to leave their homes and go get new ones.
I mean, I always assumed that somebody must have drowned due to the flooding, because just with that many people, it seems likely that a toddler would wander out into the road and find themselves.
Yeah, how game
all of a
theory?
sudden,
How
6 feet.
game theory? How much blood is on Hodaka and Hina's hands?
I mean, if you consider all the Tokyo citizens, probably a fair few. He has to live with that. He has to live with that guilt.
Yeah, but Hina's
except
worth
he
it.
ain't guilty. He don't care. Thog no care.
Hina's worth
The
it.
toddlers can drown for all he cares.
I would sacrifice all 169 of the current subscribers to keep Hina safe. I understand.
Don't tell them that they'll be they'll be afraid.
They'll understand. They'll probably agree.
On. True. In fairness, it is Hina we're talking about.
Yeah. And
please understand, subscriber base. It is Hina.
It is Hina Amano weathering with you. You would do the same thing. Admit it.
Hina weathering with you. There we go.
And it brings me to this point that I wanted to make about Hodaka and how I was thinking of like what the best term to like describe what he's going through, because like he's saying some crazy things. He's saying pretty selfish things, like how he is willing to sacrifice the well-being, maybe not in lives, but at least the very least the well-being of the city of Tokyo and the people who live in it, just to ensure that the person he loves the most stays safe. And granted, yeah, it would also benefit Nagi as well, and maybe Keisuke and Natsumi and those guys. But like outside of them, it would not really benefit anyone else to bring Hina back, because she didn't really have too many connections. She didn't have too much other family or friends. So to bring her back, and at the sacrifice of, you know, the city of Tokyo, pretty much, like that is the big moral quandary. And is Hodaka is he the asshole for allowing her to make the choice to come back and flood Tokyo? And well, are we still expected to be on his side?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, I mean, first of all, choice is completely understandable to begin with, so even if I morally disagreed with it, I'd still say, whatever, you know, I get his motivations, he's pretty based, he has, I mean, not much of a rationale besides I love Hina, but still, I mean, that's rationale enough for me.
Because like in so many stories, you see like the importance of self-sacrifice and lifting, and like sometimes you gotta make some sacrifice for the greater good. But like this is the one time where it's like where it's just like it's like that line from The Incredibles, I am the greatest good you will ever get, when Frozone's wife is talking to Frozone, or arguing over the super suit. It's one time where it's like, you know what? Fuck the greater good. I'm gonna do this for pretty much myself. Like, yeah, Nagi benefits too, but you know, like this is a choice. When it's either Hina or Tokyo, I'll pick Hina. And they make this point at the right at the end of the movie where Hodaka is like, he served out his probation and is going back to Tokyo. He's looking for a job, trying to find Hina, and so he can reconnect with her. And he gets told by, you know, Taki's grandmother, hey, you know, Tokyo was kind of like this 200 years ago, so maybe it's just going through another cycle. And then he's told by Keisuke, hey man, the world's been crazy, always has, always will be. This ain't your fault. And at the very end, when he's like contemplating all of that, and it's like, is that what I should say to her? Like, is none of this really our fault? And then he sees Hina, and he sees Hina praying for the rain to go away, even though she knows she doesn't have the power to anymore. The fact that she would still even pray for the rain to go away, it just shows how much she cares about the place that the place that she calls home. and it moves Hodaka to tears, not just because she's seeing her, but because he's realized, like, no, everyone else is wrong. That day we did make a choice. I chose Hina, I chose this world, and I choose to live in it. And they reconnect. They have a big hug as what the fuck is that song called? God damn it, I should know this one because it's one of my favorite endings in a film. Yeah, we'll be all right. And it's also the very last line in the movie where it's like, where Hina sees Hodaka crying, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm all right. You know what, Hina? We're gonna be all right." And then credits roll as the song plays, real beautiful. The topic that the term that I came up with, the best that I could assign this idea to is selfish nihilism, where it's yeah, like it could be viewed as, kind of a nihilistic viewpoint to be like, hey, what the fuck does the world matter when I'm just trying to get by in life? Like, if none of this matters at the end of the day. But he's at the end of the day, he's still being selfish in the fact that he's living for himself as opposed to the greater good, which is, generally not a thing you're supposed to do in society. But he's making this choice for pretty much himself to bring Hina back. Yeah, it may benefit others, but a select few, but as opposed to the greater good. The fact that he's willing to, say just fuck Tokyo. I don't care if it sinks to the bottom of the fucking ocean. What matters is I have the love of my life back in my life. And, even if you put the human sacrifice thing aside for a moment, even if she, didn't die and was just, subjected to just being up there in the sky world for the rest of her life, the idea that he is, so adamant and while the weight of his choice, does kind of bear on his conscience a little bit, he ultimately doesn't have any regrets. And, that's what makes this the most interesting and, most polarizing thing about the movie.
Honestly, I'm glad he has no regrets. That's based.
It does make it more interesting to him to have, as opposed to him being like, oh yeah, it was a bummer that Tokyo drowned, but hey, at least you're still here, Hina. No, he's just like, no, yeah, this is the world that we decided that this is how it's gonna be. Damn it! If that's what it takes for Hina to come back, if we never see the sun again, if it's gonna just rain forever, who gives a fuck? Who cares if it affects all these other people? I have my Hina, and that's all that matters. And you know what? Is it so wrong to live for yourself every once in a while? At the end of the day, if you were given the same choice and the love of your life was either that or you couldn't see her again, what would you choose, viewer?
It's this idea of, would you forsake the world to be with the person you love? And I'm not convinced that I wouldn't choose to forsake the world. I'm not convinced.
Yeah, what has the world ever done for Hodaka besides, make him homeless and hate where he used to live?
Society.
Yeah, society is to
society
blame.
Moment.
People are gonna see
down.
People are gonna see the flooded ruins of Tokyo, and they're gonna think there's a city that's self-destructed, not because society didn't care, but because that city was society. Shout out to people who get that reference.
To me, the main decider of the ethics of his actions is, well, in one instance, someone needs to die. And in the other instance, no one needs to die. I mean, is it really that bad?
But Crunchy, all
Tokyo?
my stuff is here.
It's just, I mean, fuck your stuff.
I'd prefer, it's easy from it to put ourselves in Hodaka's perspective, but say we're one of the fucks that he's gonna drown. Hey man, I gotta move my fucking computer. I gotta make sure it doesn't get fucking, if it goes underwater, it's fucking Jover, man.
It's Jover. It's so Jover. I mean, yeah, it is a massive inconvenience, but what's your stuff to a human life? That's the question I pose.
Depends on the human life.
Well, true. But I mean, Hina didn't do nothing wrong. Hina's an angel, so okay. Well, maybe not. She did run from the police that one time, so maybe
that makes her a double
such an angel after all. Double it. There we go.
It makes her Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
Depending on your political affiliation, yes.
Yeah, it's this. I call it selfish nihilism because it's like it's kind of like a nihilistic viewpoint to just be like, yo, fuck the world, I don't care what happens to everyone else, like, who cares? But the fact that he's still willing to make a choice that is ultimately selfish and would benefits him the most out of anyone else, when you can't really be selfish and a nihilist, because to be a nihilist you have to like not care about anything, but if you are selfish you are like doing something exclusively to benefit yourself. And it's just this that dichotomy that, you know, it's making me stop and think, and I have to turn my brain on and just have this conversation of like
neuron activation.
Yeah, of like, did Hodaka do the right thing? And that's why this is one of my favorite endings in a movie. Not because the embrace and like the musical build-up to the whole thing is fucking majestic, but also like the question of like whether it's worth it to forsake the world for your own personal happiness. And you know, that's a thing that, like, if Hodaka went on Twitter and was like, hey guys, yeah, that whole Funny of Tokyo, that was my doing, he would get fucking raked over the coals. But you know what? Like, who cares, right? Sometimes you like, is it so bad to just do something for yourself, like, on such a scale?
I mean, it definitely depends on the situation, and I think in most cases it would come down to, you know, self-sacrifice, but at what level of sacrifice? At what point is the sacrifice so much that you're willing to just say, screw the world, you guys go suffer in my stead. I'm gonna be here not having to go through whatever the alternative is.
And it ties back into the whole the concept of like of climate change in the movie, and how the stance it takes is like, yeah, climate change is important, but at the same time, at the end of the day, you know, humanity's hasn't been here nearly as long as the planet, and the planet will you know, do whatever it wants with the weather. And we just kind of have to grit our teeth and fucking take it on the chin, whatever happens. Like, when an earthquake happens, like, it's no one's fault, but people suffer. That's why it's we call it a natural disaster. We consider it a tragedy. But yeah, we do things like set up charity funds to come together and try to like rectify all the damage that's done. But then you look at things like decisions that have been that cause people to suffer that are done actively by one person or a group of people. Like, relevant example, the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. That's not the Earth's fault. That's people's fault. Specifically the Russian government and their desire to just, you know, take over Ukraine and make it a part of
I think it was the Earth's fault, man. He was mind controlling Putin or something.
Yeah, I can make him better if I were Putin's dad.
I can fix him.
I can make him worse.
If I were Putin's father,
I would have left. But yeah, it's this nature of, it's this idea of, it reminds me of this line from Bo Burnham, Inside, which is one of my favorite pieces of media of all time, where he kind of also has a similar nihilistic sense of, man, like, why is it such a bad thing to live for ourselves when the world is in such a fuck state? Like, you say the ocean's rising, like I give a shit. You say the whole world's ending, honey, it already did. Like, what if we are just, past the point of saving? Like, once again, if we take the black pill and we doom post a little bit, what if we are just fucked? Like, why not just like live for ourselves a little? Then what's so wrong about that?
I mean, I took the black pill ages ago. Society sucks.
God is dead.
am the Joker. God is dead.
Rick and Morty is my favorite show of all time.
I really relate to Rick Sanchez. He's a real hero over there.
And it's this debate that doesn't really have a definitive answer that makes Weathering with You such an interesting movie, on top of, also just being a really fun movie.
I mean, if I had to give my answer, I sort of gave it earlier, but you should be selfless depending on the situation and whether or not society has earned it. Because screw society, man. But in this case, I'm siding with Hodaka. I think he's based in this case, honestly. Hodaka did nothing wrong.
He did do nothing wrong. It's and that is like, the fun answer to say, but it's real easy when it's when you put it yourself in Hodaka's shoes, and like then the question gets a little more fuzzy when you're like, all right, what if I'm not in Hodaka's shoes and someone else is doing it for themselves and I'm just over here and suffering as a byproduct of what has happened? That's what makes it interesting.
I mean, yeah, other people will inevitably come to different interpretations of the ending and be like, yo, was that the right answer? And I imagine the first time I watched the movie, I was firmly like, nah, Hodaka just kind of screwed over a bunch of people. and then future me is like, I don't know, man, Hodaka's kind of got a point. And you can come to invariably different interpretations. And that's the hallmark of a good ending. It's like, different people can get completely different things out of it. It starts a conversation. It makes you ask questions. It gets you noggin jogging. All in all, kinography.
Yeah, you can.
By the way, there was one hotel in this movie, like way out in the distance, called Gas Hotel, and I'm like, I paused the movie, and I'm like, that's this movie right there, Gas.
We gotta gas this movie up because it is a goddamn shame that this is not that did not go over as well as Your Name did. When
okay,
this is just
I
the better
want to
movie.
Start a conversation about that real quick because. Have you seen like a convincing answer as to why Your Name is better than this?
No.
Because I meant to read some of the reviews before the podcast, but didn't get around to it. But I am genuinely just baffled that anyone would consider Your Name better than this. It is legitimately, I do not even begin to comprehend.
I can even though while I can cope seethe mauled about how this movie didn't do
8.85 versus 8.30. Like,
maybe it's the controversial ending that people get their sticks up in a butt about, but I can cope seethe mauled about how it didn't perform financially as well as Your Name, but we're comparing one of the greatest successes in anime film history to a still good success. Shinkai, I think Weathering with You is still in like the top 10, if not top 10, absolutely top 15 highest grossing films, anime films of all time, or at least Japanese films of all time.
I mean, I don't really consider I don't really care about the box office per se, because I mean, Your Name was lightning in a bottle. Like, that makes sense. It was huge.
Weathering with You is in the top 10. It's number 8.
Deservedly so, but oh god, I'm looking at review right now that gave Tenki no Ko a 1 out of 10. I need to read this after the podcast. After the podcast.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you're off the hook, pal. But the fact that it does not have the critical and audience acclaim that Weathering with You, even despite it being 3 years younger than Your Name. The fact that it doesn't have the same amount of people, or at least the same level of a critical acclaim. I mean, come on. I think that will bring an end to our coverage of Weathering with You and the end of Shinkai Month.
It's ogre. It's all ogre. We made it an entire month watching nothing but Shinkai. So, do we have any parting thoughts on the month as a whole? We got regale everyone with?
The big question we gotta ask, is he the next Miyazaki?
Well, I haven't seen any Miyazaki movies, but if they're as good as people say they are, no. He is. He has one absolute I mean, you'll disagree with me on this, but he has one absolute banger, heat gas peak of a movie, and then some good movies, and then some absolute stinkers.
I will say, yeah, the fact that he has any stinkers whatsoever immediately disqualifies him from having like the same like literally like legend among humanity tier director status as Miyazaki. In the abstract of like having a famous mainstream anime director, since Miyazaki is going to has like one more movie in him that's coming out this year, and then he's probably done Funzo Dunzo for real this time.
People have been saying probably for a while now.
Yeah, I think How Do You Live is going to be the final Miyazaki movie for real. I do think like the man's either gonna actually finally stop or he's just gonna die.
True.
Yeah, Shinkai's got a good few decades left in him. I think he's in his 40s, maybe early 50s now.
Well, see, that's the thing. Even if he does have stinkers way back in his past, the dude's young. The dude has a lot of time to make truly phenomenal films, which he now has one under his belt. And, you know,
I would argue he has good work. But, you know,
you do you, but
I would definitely say, granted, of course, I haven't seen all of Miyazaki's movies yet, so maybe I fucking hate, I don't know, My Neighbor Totoro. Maybe I think it sucks and I hate fun, but well, we'll get back to you on that one of these days. From his general consensus, because I've seen people like to shit on. I've seen more people shit on Shinkai than I've seen people shit on Miyazaki.
Well, I mean, by far, because his movies are very obviously flawed in a lot of key ways. Except for, you know, certain examples. But, like, even 5 centimeters per second, which I really like, is still... The character designs suck. The character art isn't exactly the great. They have pudding faces. I don't really care about the characters as characters for the most part. They're just kind of beacons through which the emotions of the story can be relayed to the audience so much as they are their own independent, enjoyable people. And then there's like Place Promised and Children Who Chase Lost Voices, which are just downright awful, genuinely terrible. And, you know, Garden of Words is pretty solidly made, but it's short. It's like 40 minutes. It doesn't have as much sticking power as Weathering with You, in my opinion. Your Name has a lot of plot holes. They're very flawed movies, generally speaking. You know, they tend to make up... They tend to compensate in their high points more so than they do just be amazing films. With the exception of Today, obviously.
See, the thing about Shinkai is that everyone, like, universally agrees on their favorite Shinkai movie. Typically it's, you know, Your Name, because that's just the normie pick, but everyone, like, you can ask a whole, like, shit ton of people, and they'll tell you, you get a big sample size for, like, ask them what their favorite Miyazaki or Ghibli movie is, and you're gonna have a wider variety of answers. You know, some people it might be Princess Mononoke, some people might be Spirited Away, some people it might be fucking trying to think of any other like big famous Ghibli movies. It could be Totoro, it could be Castle in the Sky, or, you know, Howl's Moving Castle.
I mean, did you like Ponyo a lot? Not many people agree with that, but I guess Ponyo.
Yeah, it could be like any one of those, like, because and the man just has, and that just speaks as a testament to like how many absolute bangers Miyazaki has likely cranked out in his lifetime. Whereas Shinkai, as we have just gone through and evidenced to the court, he has made one. He's, as far as good movies go, he's made a few. As far as amazing movies goes, he's made one, arguably two, and as far he did not beat the no bad movies allegations, because Place Promised in our early days and Children Chase Lost Voices are fucking trash.
Did anyone who watch all of Shinkai's films really give a no bad movies allegation? I want to see that person. I want to just give them the most baffled of looks.
Yeah, so is Makoto Shinkai the next Hayao Miyazaki? No, I think he is the first Makoto Shinkai.
Fair take. He is to be fair, the dude does have a lot of personality in his films, except for Children Who Chase Lost Voices. But other than that, the dude has a style.
Yeah, the dude unmistakably has a style. He's very auteur based, and I do respect the auteur, as I'm sure I don't want to speak for you on this one, but I'm sure you do too, as a person who writes, edits, and like produces their own content.
I mean, yeah, I always love it when an artist has a very clear personality. That's the hallmark of all my favorite artists.
Yeah,
and
so
the stronger that personality is, the more I tend to like him.
So, and for him being like one of the last like big auteurs in the anime industry, it's I do feel like he is a name to be upheld, and his work to be seen. And especially with as of recently, because as far as I'm concerned, the man is on a 3-movie winning streak of making good movies. And now we'll see if Suzume in April for North America, when we bring Shinkai Month to a, its unofficial final close, then we can see if he's going 4 for 4.
Suzume does have a high average score on at least AniList. Let me check my anime. Okay, so 8.6 on Mal, 82 on AniList. So
to be fair, it also has the recency bias, so we'll see how it plays. I've been trying my damnedest to avoid spoilers for that movie, so I can go into it with the freshest of views, and because that's gonna be...
This is the advantage of me not using Twitter that often. I don't have to try to avoid spoilers.
Well, all I gotta do is just when Suzume shows up on the trending bar, I'll just be like, not clicking that.
Spoilers avoid me like oil and water. They just repel off of me. I shoot my anti-spoiler beam and they get destroyed before they ever reach my ears.
Oh yeah, by the way, Weathering with You, train counter. I counted 13.
We nearly forgot the train counter. It is skimping on the trains a little, though. I'm disappointed. We're not hitting the highest amount of trains yet. What Shinkai should have done was fill a shot with nothing, like just apropos of nothing, just
50 trains.
A white void, and yeah, like 50 trains, just to remind everyone, I'm the trains guy.
Oh my god, if Shinkai gets onto the like fucking multiverse bandwagon that Hollywood seems to be going through right now, and makes a multiverse movie, like at least, like even more so than fucking Place Promised in Early Days, he actually like doubles down on it, like goes full paprika on that shit. He's absolutely making the train dimension.
Bro, if he makes the multiverse movie, that is going to like demolish the train counter. It's gonna be at 50, guaranteed. At least 50, probably over 100.
Alright. And now
but there's going to be a long continuous shot of every character in every Shinkai movie, even
on
the
one
side
train.
characters. No, not on one train. They're like all looking at each other, and then one by one a train goes by to cut them off, and it's like the super ambitious, well-animated scrolling shot. Just more and more trains come in.
It's not CG, it's all hand-drawn.
Yes.
Alright, well, the only thing left to do now is to put the movies to the ranking.
Oh, are we not waiting for Suzume yet?
I mean, we.
To be fair, it is the end
if
of
Shinkai Month is
Month.
ending, we might as well. We'll amend the list when Suzume comes out.
All right. I'm gonna actually write all these down on a private server. So I think we all know what both our top picks are gonna be.
Yeah, so we might as well start from worst to best. Do we agree that Place Promised in Our Early Days is the worst Shinkai movie?
Absolutely, like without a doubt.
And then we both agree that...
All right, I've got the first 4 down, and that's the only place we're going to disagree. We all know what the second worst one is. It's Children Who Chase Lost Voices. No, it's actually Garden of Words. It's actually second worst.
I will skin you if you fucking say that shit to my face. Yeah, fifth is Children Who Chase Lost Voices. What's your fourth?
My fourth is 5 centimeters per second, and I know it's your. I think we have the same list, just with different scores.
Do you have Your Name or Garden of Words at number 3?
Your Name.
Okay, yeah, we have the same list then.
we literally have the same list beat for beat.
Yeah, hey,
we're the same person. We're just clones of each other with pitched voices.
Oh my god, the podcast, it's gonna be boring. We don't disagree on anything. We're just yes men.
No debates. Actually, Your Name is way better than Weathering With You. It's a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Plot holes? What plot holes? All I see is kinography.
Hey, who knows? Maybe we'll come out of Suzume with like wildly different takes. Maybe we'll come out of it with it'll be the movie equivalent of our Licorice Recoil, where you hate it and I like it.
Dude, I'm gonna watch Suzume, then be like, I thought I was gonna get Shinkai pilled, and yet, and I go on this rant.
I thought I was gonna swallow the Shinkai pill, but I just committed bulimia.
Bro, I've been taking Shinkai pills for about 5 months right now. They ain't doing nothing to me. Suzume is garbage.
Yeah, well, so I'm glad we can agree that Weathering With You is in fact the best Shinkai movie.
Dude, imagine how much of a hell this podcast would be if we disagreed on that. I'm just imagining
I will say
the fire.
Now that I have the entire filmography behind me, I do like the ending of Garden of Words more than the ending of Weathering With You, but I will maintain that the only reason that Weathering With You is higher than Garden of Words is because it's just a more complete package. I do think if Garden of Words was like feature length, like it was like an hour long, like anywhere between like 30 minutes to an hour longer, and maintained the amount of quality content that the 45 minutes that it is provided, then it would be like, might even be a masterpiece, might even slap up with a big old 10.
I personally prefer the ending with Weathering With You, although Garden of Words ending is still very mucho good.
And with that, I think now Shinkai Month has finally come to its actual end this time.
We did it. We did it. And so, I guess for anyone following along with Shinkai Month, haha, none of you.
Yeah,
like two people. Two people.
Every episode thus far has crossed the 200 view mark, so they're not doing terribly.
True. Well, next up on the podcast, if you need more Castaway anime in your life, we got Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid coming up as our 50th podcast special. We've got Owl House, we got Bleach, we got a new seasonal cast coming up. It's gonna be great.
Every week is the best week to subscribe to the Castaway Anime Podcast, which you can do by hitting the button below, making sure to like the video, and leave a comment telling us what you thought about Weathering With You and Shinkai Month as a whole. Give us your Shinkai movie rankings, viewers. Tell us, are you excited for Suzume? Have you seen Suzume already? Because I know it came out in other countries already. If you put any spoilers, you're dead. we will find you.
Don't spoil us. Ever.
No
and
spoilerinos.
And with that, I think we're about done.
Yeah, that brings us to the end of this episode of the Castaway Anime Podcast. I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Rubbery Pancake. I messed it up.
No, oh god, no, fucking bit's over. We're
no.
done. Pack it up. And you'll see us next time.